Okay, I got rained out of work today, so I'm driving back home after my appointment with the sexual assault place, and I'm just not in a great mood, so I'm not foreseeing anything good coming from it today, but I'm going to stick with it, see what can happen. As I said, I'm open-minded to trying things to make me no longer broken, but I want to get back to the AANA thing. And just some things that I've experienced in going to meetings and the IOP program I was in. Every person I've talked to at the meetings, or, other people like the drug counselors and shit, they all keep saying, oh, just stick with it because you'll find your higher power. You'll find your higher power. Well, you know what? There are some of us out there who just don't believe in that horse shit. And there are some of us out there who will never have a higher power, because one of the reasons I left was because they weren't listening to me when I would say, I don't have a higher power and I'm not going to find a higher power because I don't believe in that stuff. And they're supposed to be so non-judgmental and blah, 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 but when I go to the meetings and I don't get up and stand in their little circle and pray with them, all I get are judgmental looks from a bunch of people in there. And they're just like, oh, we're non-judgmental, but we're going to judge you for not believing what we believe in. And no matter what anybody says, they are a Christian-based religion, organization type bullshit thing. Because, oh, how many other religions refer to their deity as God? None. Just Christianity. And how many other religions' prayers do they use? None. They use Christian prayer. The Serenity Prayer is a Christian prayer, which I don't think there's anything that cannot be changed, except for like maybe, nature and stuff. But those are things we don't have control over. I mean, natural phenomena we have no control over. But when it comes to people and things like that, yes, we can change people. We can change situations we're in, of course, unless, Hurricane Katrina and you're stuck in New Orleans, but you could have changed that situation beforehand and not been stuck there. But I know a lot of people did not have, so don't think I'm saying, oh, everybody that was stuck there, it's their own fault. It's not. Some people had no choice. And it's just, I just strongly believe there's nothing that can't be changed, and there's nothing in my life I cannot change. I mean, granted, like with the last guy I was seeing, I can't change the fact that we're not together, but I can change the fact of how it affected me. I can change the way that other people view me. I mean, there's so much that can be changed. It's just, I don't know. I'm babbling right now because I'm tired as shit. Need the yawning. And again, nobody looks good yawning. So I have a huge problem with AANA, 12-step programs, and some of the steps I have a problem with, like, I don't need to ask anybody to forgive me for anything. The only person I need forgiveness from is myself. Even though I burn a lot of bridges, which probably should not have been burned, I wasn't the only person in there burning that bridge. Nobody's ever wanted to hold on to me enough to where they don't allow me to burn a bridge. I had one friend tell me that no matter what happens, they will always hold on to me. Well, because they didn't get a fucking text message from me when their dog died, they didn't hold on. So, once again, proving that people just can't be taken at their word. And one thing that a couple of my exes don't understand, or didn't understand, is that their actions spoke much louder than their words. Like that last guy I was seeing who insisted we weren't dating, but treated it like we were dating when I didn't. I mean, his actions spoke much louder than his words. But, what can you do? Southern men that are gay are fucked in the head. That's all there is to it. Even more so than I'm fucked in the head, and I'm pretty fucked up. But it's just, it is what it is. And anyway, I read a lot. I do a lot of research, and NAAA, these 12-step programs, have very little success rate. Everybody relapses that go into these programs. Now, I've not researched a lot of the non-12-step programs, but one of the problems with 12-step programs is, they deal with addiction, but they're not dealing with the underlying things that cause the addiction. I mean, yes, some of it is hereditary, and fuck you to anybody that says addiction is not a disease. Yeah, you know so much more than fucking doctors and psychologists and stuff like that, so you're so qualified to say it's not a disease. That's aimed at my niece, in fact. I mean, just because you work as a CNA doesn't mean you have the knowledge of all the years of medical training and psychological training that counselors and doctors have. And I'm not hating on you for that, Crystal. I'm just letting you know how it is. You're not the end-all be-all authority on addiction and what is a disease and what is not a disease. And I think you're looking at disease as a physical thing, not a mental thing. Because definitely I would not put addiction under a physical disease. I would put it under the same category of a disease like schizophrenia, PTSD, things like that. You may call it a disorder. Either way, it's real, it's there, and a lot of people suffer from it. Anyway, and I think I mentioned earlier about the way that these 12-step programs... Excuse me again, I'm so sorry I'm yawning so much. But the way they approach these diseases or addiction is just... It's hateful, and they instill traits of what people experience with PTSD. It's all about guilting and shaming a person for their addiction when there should be no guilt or shame associated with it. I mean, yeah, I feel guilty and I'm ashamed of the fact that I'm an addict. And I feel ashamed for the fact that I went 15 days without using anything. Less with the weed. I went a week without smoking weed, which that's the first week since I was 18 that I can remember not smoking weed. I only have one day since I was 18 that I could remember not smoking weed, and that was because I had a tremendous migraine. But anyway, I just wish that people would realize that A, addiction is a disease, and B, there's no one solution to helping somebody with an addiction. Because I know for a fact 12-step programs are not for me. Because they just don't seem to understand that not everybody is exactly the same, and we don't think the same, we don't react the same, and the same things are not going to help us. It's like when they start throwing people on psychotropic drugs for anxiety or depression, stuff like that. It works for some, it doesn't work for everybody. And I found that a lot of it does not work for me. I've been prescribed a lot of things, and I've never taken any of them very long. One thing I did find helpful was Flexerol. And I think I was just too heavily dosed with that because it helped a lot mentally, but then it caused sexual side effects, and that's something I'm not going to have. I mean, I think most of what I need to deal with is just my feelings of inadequacy and that everybody dislikes me and that I'm not good enough, that I'm not a good enough person, that I'm not a good person. And I don't think that's going to be helped by putting me on drugs that the side effects are much worse than what they're treating for. And that's another thing this program that I was in was supposed to do, is help me see a counselor, which I never got that referral. But I understand they're very busy because they're a not-for-profit that if you don't have money, they will find you a grant. so you can go through their program. Which, I'm not down degrading anybody who believes in these 12-step programs and that they work, because I know a lot of people really believe that they're staying clean and sober because of these programs. And if that what helps them, that's fantastic. Good for them. Hats off to you. Very happy that you're able to stay clean and sober, but it just won't work for me because I don't buy a lot of it. And there are a lot of people out there. Holy fuck! I just spent the last hour and a half not yawning. Now that I'm back in my Jeep driving, I'm yawning. But it's not going to help everybody, and it's not for me. And I'm not going to say that if you have a problem and you want to get help, don't turn towards that, because you got to find what's going to work for you, and I'm still looking for what's going to work for me. I've got some organizations out there trying to find programs that will work for me, and I have a very good idea. I know one that will work perfectly for me, but I can't afford it. And that's another topic for discussion another day. The shitty fucking healthcare system we have in this country, and the stupidity of people that are opposed to doing what other countries are doing with a single payer system, which I don't completely understand, the single payer. And I used to totally be against it because I didn't do enough research. And now that I'm finding out that it's working in places like Canada, Finland, Sweden, England, I'm very much for it, because it sucks being almost 50 years old and not being able to go see a doctor until something gets really serious, and then I have to walk into an emergency room and end up paying like $1,500 just for sitting at that desk and telling them my name and address. That's disgusting. And I've come to the realization that healthcare is a right. I mean, I used to be very opposed to Obamacare, and now I'm not at all, because it's helping people. It's saving lives. Although a part of me thinks, fuck it, there are too many people on this planet anyway, let a bunch of us die. And notice I didn't say them, because I'm not exempt from that. I don't think my life is any more warranted on this planet than anyone else's. Which, I could go off on a million different topics right now, like how I don't feel that women and children first is very right. I don't think this, because they're a kid, their life is more important than mine, which it's not, because, okay, if we save every child in the world and we have such little emphasis on adults, who the fuck's going to be around to teach these kids? Nobody. And I do believe that every person on this earth has something that they can teach others. But that's just me. Do I think that's the reason we're put here? No, not really. I think it's just by luck that we're here. Sheer, stupid luck. But, to each their own, and that's my little rant for right now, because I don't feel like talking anymore. Well, I do, but I just don't. Excuse me again, I apologize. But, again, you all have a great day. I hope it's sunny and warm where you are, as opposed to rainy, cloudy, and gloomy. I'm gonna go home and take a nap.